Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Arjun Chaudhary. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Tuesday, the 14th of April. Political unrest has hit Bangladesh's economy hard, says World Bank. Analysts blame Pakistan for promoting sectarianism in Balochistan. And Myanmar celebrates New Year with traditional water festival. And now for all the details. Prime Minister Narendra Modi completed his German visit on Tuesday, calling on businessmen to invest in India. The Indian Premier will now travel to Canada for the third and final leg of his tour. Our political editor Smita Prakash reports from Berlin.
Prime Minister Modi addressed business leaders at an Indo-German business meet in Hanover, where he made a strong pitch for German investment into infrastructure projects. He also asked for German investment in his dream project of constructing 50 million houses by 2022. Similarly, he outlined the Indian government's plan to upgrade airports and railway stations to improve connectivity.
We are modernizing our railway systems, including signals and railway stations. Similar focus is on upgrading the existing airports and putting up regional airports to enhance connectivity to places of economic and tourist importance.
The Indian Prime Minister and Chancellor Angela Merkel said that it was a historic opportunity for German investors to increase their presence in India. Germany ranks 8th among foreign investor countries in India. About 600 Indo-German firms are operating in India. The Indian Prime Minister and Chancellor Angela Merkel toured the India Pavilion at the Hanover Messe Trade Fair, which has seen a huge participation by Indian companies.
भारत और जर्मनी, ये दोनों देशों की कंपनियां पूरे विश्व के सामान्य से सामान्य मानवी के कल्याण के लिए किस प्रकार से नए इनोवेशंस करके आगे आ सकती हैं। टेक्नोलॉजी एफोर्डेबल हो, टेक्नोलॉजी सामान्य मानवी के जीवन को क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ में चेंज लाने के लिए हो, और उस दिशा में हम सर्वाधिक काम करेंगे।
The Indian Prime Minister arrived in Berlin on Monday afternoon and toured the Siemens facility. During his visit in France and Germany, the Indian Prime Minister has expressed his admiration for European design and innovation capabilities. Prime Minister Modi, in his interaction with business and political leaders in Germany as well as earlier in France, has emphasized that his government is investing in innovation and research and development. He's also been making a constant pitch about making India a manufacturing hub and inviting foreign direct investment into that pet project. Smita Prakash, South Asia Newsline in Berlin.
After facing criticism over its decision to stay neutral in the Yemen conflict, Pakistan has now turned into damage control mode. Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has reiterated his country's support to Saudi at the same time while calling for a dialogue to end the crisis in Yemen.
Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif on Monday defended last week's unanimous resolution of the Parliament on Yemen, calling it in accordance with the government's policy. He said that the criticism levelled by the UAE over the decision was a result of misunderstanding and that Pakistan will continue to support Saudi.
The resolution has affirmed in clear and categorical terms that any violation of the Saudi territorial sovereignty or threat to the two holy mosques will evoke a strong response from Pakistan.
Prime Minister Sharif also said his country wants a peaceful solution to the crisis and it has already begun talks with the Iranian and Saudi leadership in this regard.
I also conveyed to the Iranian Foreign Minister, Mr. Javad Zarif, during his visit to Pakistan on 9th of April, that the violent overthrow of the legitimate government in Yemen by the Houthis had set a dangerous precedent that was fraught with serious risks for the entire region. I also urged him to use Iran's influence to bring the Houthis to the negotiating table.
In what was seen as a surprise move, Pakistan Parliament had last week rejected the Saudi request for combat assistance in Yemen. The move invited criticism from both Sunni groups within Pakistan and some Gulf countries too. Pakistan, which has close ties with Saudi and other Gulf nations, depends on them for running its fragile economy. Countries including the UAE also have large investments in Pakistan. An estimated 1.4 million Pakistanis work in the Gulf region, sending millions of foreign remittance every year.
Bangladesh economy will have a lower growth rate of 5.6% in the current fiscal year, owing to the political unrest in the country, the World Bank has said. Bangladesh has so far incurred losses worth $2.2 billion in the 3 months of the BNP-enforced shutdowns.
The unending political violence of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party has taken a toll on the economic prospects of the country. The World Bank in its latest report projects a meager 5.6% GDP growth in place of the 6.2% it had predicted 6 months earlier. This is much lower than the 7.3% growth rate the government plans to achieve in the current fiscal year. The assessment report states that key sectors including services, agriculture, exports and non-formal businesses have suffered due to the unrest. The World Bank also said that losses suffered in the ongoing shutdown will exceed a similar situation as was in the case of financial year 2013 to 2014. It points out that the investment atmosphere in the country has been hit due to the political violence and private investors are at a loss because of the breakdown in the supply chain. Bangladesh has been in the grip of an indefinite transport blockade and shutdown since January. The opposition alliance led by BNP, which boycotted the general elections last year, is demanding fresh polls under a non-party caretaker government system.
The competing power play of outside actors within Pakistan's western Balochistan has made the situation in the mineral-rich province complex, analysts have said. The southwestern province has been in the grip of a separatist insurgency for decades now.
Balochistan's fight against sectarianism is intensifying by the day. The mineral-rich province has been roiled by militancy and state-funded violence for years together. The Human Rights Commission of Pakistan has, through its various fact findings, highlighted on the increasing intimidation and violence the ethnic and religious minorities in Balochistan have been facing since 2009. But analysts believe the upswing in such violence in recent times goes largely unnoticed at the international front.
I think it's very serious in terms of both social and economic development, sectarianism, and also the competing power plays of outside actors within Balochistan. It's a very complex situation, and the fact that it has been sidelined in international fora, I think, is worrying.
The Human Rights Watch, in a report last year, urged the Pakistan government to prevent militant groups in the province from killing and abusing minority communities like the Hazaras and other Shias. The Pakistani establishment has tried to crush the Baloch uprising for political autonomy and greater control over their resources.
It has ramifications for Pakistani stability. It has ramifications for regional stability. Remember, Balochistan is not just Pakistan, but it incorporates Afghanistan and Iran. And issues of state abuses, human rights violations, these are all international concerns that need to be addressed.
The Shia community in Pakistan has been repeatedly targeted by pro-Sunni terror outfits like the Lashkar-e-Jhangvi, which has claimed of undertaking majority of sectarian attacks. Due to the continued violence, 500,000 Hazaras in Balochistan live under perpetual fear. They are forced to restrict their movements, resulting in economic hardships and limited access to educational and employment opportunities. As a result of the oppressive situation, scores of Hazaras are fleeing Pakistan and seeking refuge in other countries.
It's been just 4 months since India's newest airline, Vistara, first spread its wings, and it's already looking to expand. The Singapore Airlines Starter Group joint venture wants to start charting international routes within 2 years, but it might be easier said than done. A report.
It hasn't taken Vistara long to set its sights on a new horizon. After just 4 months of crisscrossing India, the newly inaugurated airline is planning to expand its fleet and touch down on foreign shores. Exactly how many new planes it will buy is still up in the air, but target destinations are not. Vistara has its eye set on the Gulf and eventually wants to start flying to Europe and the United States. Experts say Vistara's lineage with ties to both Singapore Airline and Tata Group should help with the transition.
Vistara is also got Singapore Airlines as a partner, and Singapore Airlines has got tremendous reputation on international routes, and Tatas have a very good reputation. So achieving something in the domestic market should not be the criteria for doing well in international.
A change in aviation regulations could also help carriers like Vistara reach new shores. Under the current 520 rule, Indian airlines have to be operational for 5 years and have 20 aircrafts before they can start flying abroad. But last month, the government proposed scrapping that rule and replacing it with domestic flying credits or DFCs. Under that rule, carriers looking to fly abroad would first have to earn at least 200 DFCs by flying within India, and in a bid to beef up domestic routes, carriers will earn more credits by flying to far-fetched locations like the Andaman Islands. Experts say the change could make it easier for startups like Vistara to start flying further sooner.
Going international gives you a wider space, it gives you a wider exposure, and Indian market both domestically and internationally is growing, and because of the nature of competition, international markets are little more profitable than the domestic operations.
In February, it managed to fill only 58% of seats, far below the 81% average. But the carrier CEO, Phi Tek Yeo, says the introduction of advance booking should change that. Vistara will also be rolling out some POS services to entice India's wealthy, like a new lounge for business travelers, all in a bid to eventually get its piece of the international skies.
Myanmar rang in its new year by getting drenched in festivities quite literally. Take a look at how it celebrated the big day in a traditional manner.
It was a splash of not just vibrancy but also water balloons as people of Myanmar ushered in its new year under various flowing streams. Residents in capital Yangon flocked the streets spraying water on each other and getting soaked in merrymaking during the annual water event traditionally called the Thingyan Festival. People from all walks of life got wet in the ritual, believed to wash away the sins of previous year and start the new one afresh. The festival, which falls in mid-April according to the Buddhist calendar, is the grandest celebration in Myanmar. People also pray for peace and prosperity as part of the ceremonial event. The celebration was also marked by traditional song and dance as hundreds gathered on the streets to see and shake a leg with different groups that performed during the festivity.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude the top stories once again. Political unrest has hit Bangladesh's economy hard, says World Bank. Analysts blame Pakistan for promoting sectarianism in Balochistan. And Myanmar celebrates New Year with traditional water festival. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. And that's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.